Well, for me, I really feel like joy is achieved in life through spontaneous adventures and acts of kindness. Like if you kind of seek those things out or try to do those things, you really will start to fill your life with joy, even if it's just small little bits at a time. You know, there's nothing like getting called and being like, hey, do you want to go to this tonight? You know, and so if you were that person before kids, I think that sometimes that might get lost, that you're like, oh, we can't do it. But if you try a little bit and go, you know, yeah, let's try that. Let's shift things around, you know, and you might have this really fun opportunity, or your kids get to connect, or as a mom, you get to connect with other moms. So that's really how I lived my life before parenting. And then once I had a child, I couldn't travel the globe anymore as much, maybe for funds or, logistical reasons. But I was like, you know what, I can bring that thirst for travel and adventure and giving back to the community locally. And so we were just always seeking out free and fun adventures and kind of putting that into our lives to make our, budget go a little further.
I just love that so much. It is such a good mantra. We could all embrace it. What do you love about being a mom?
Oh I absolutely love it. So I think that what I love the most is seeing the world all over again through my child's eyes. And I know everyone's probably heard that so many times, but for me, it was really true because I'm always showing him things that I love or I like, but I've also tried really hard to go to things that don't interest me just to see if maybe this will, grab his attention. I played instruments growing up and I traveled a lot and did different things, but I was like, you know what, he might not like the same music. And lo and behold, at 5, he fell in love with opera. Not my thing. But he had his little bucket list of like, I would really like to see an opera. So we went to Michigan Opera Theater and saw Hansel and Gretel, and it was all in German. And it was so long. It was like 3.5 hours. And he sat through that whole thing and just took it in. And so I think that's the neat part about parenting is like, you just never know what you're going to stumble upon, or there's things that he loves, more than I ever would, but now I'm falling in love with them, even on the basic stuff. Like, I didn't have this affinity for sharks, but I know a lot about sharks now. So I think that's the most fun part about being a parent for me is, navigating the, life all over again with him, and, we're both on a journey. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. What are some of the things that you really love to do, places you like to go in Metro Detroit to have fun?
Yeah, so we absolutely love the DeQuinder Cut. I don't know if you're familiar, but we live on one of the openings. And so, we shoot up to the riverfront, we head to Eastern Market. So whether it's walking or on scooters or bikes, and we love the river walk. We're huge fans of that all year round. And seeing how the seasons change with the river and the ice and the water. And then as it gets warmer, everyone's out there in bikes, and everyone at night has, speakers and lights on their bike. And, it's just lively. Like for us, like we love that. We love concerts in the park. We spend a lot of time at Beacon Park or Campus Martius. And then let's see what else. We love library events, and we love the DIA. He's grown up there, and lots of times the Friday night concerts we go to, or the kids crafts on Sunday, all kinds of that kind of stuff, I guess. Historical museum, that's another favorite.
I love that. Those are all good favorites.
Yeah. And yeah, for him, like we're just big walkers, and ever since the Q line came up, like we could park on one end of Woodward and head down where we might not find parking where it's more congested, park up where it's not as congested and explore the city. And he loves the beach at Campus Martius. And then he spends as much time as possible on the ice in the winter in Campus Martius. So yeah, we really, we love our city and we love being in it.
Oh, I love that. It is a great city. It can't be beat. One of the things that I love so much about you is how you are working to empower kids to change the world through volunteering. Can you talk a little bit about that? Where does that come from?
Sure. Well, so for us, like we've always had a part of service in our family. I mean, Patrick started volunteering when he was 2.5. We would pass out granola bars out the car window to homeless individuals in our neighborhood. And we would decorate bags. His preschool had a program where we made lunches for people in need. And so they could decorate the outside of the bag with stickers or color them. So for me, I've always done that myself. And so I thought when I had a little one, I was like, wow, well, we could make blessing bags at home for the homeless, but what we could do is stuff them at home. So maybe he wasn't always at a younger age out in the city passing them out, but he made them at home, because I feel a lot that as a parent, it's really easy to chip in, donate, do all the things, or tell your kid this is what, we did while you were at school or whatever, but they don't really have an attachment to it. And we haven't empowered them to give back, and they have a voice and they want to do things to help. And that's really what drove me to, it was really honestly him when he was 2.5. He would see me money or water or granola bars. I always had them in the car. I have this little bin and we have various items in our car that we can pass out. And he asked one day, he said, can I pass it out? And I was like, gosh, I'd never really thought about this, and it was at a time where we were like at the traffic light. And I was like, this is a real pivotal moment. Like, if I say no, like, is that fair? But I was just like, well, and I said, you know what? I was like, okay. And because like, I would do it from, my window. And I said, okay. So he rolled down his window and I scooched up, and the guy looked him in the eye and he said, wow, thank you. I really needed a snack. And he was just, his little face lit up. He said, I knew it. And so it was that moment that I was like, he's right. Like, I need to let him do the things that I, might not think are age appropriate or he can't handle yet, but he's seeing this all happening and he's very involved in his own community. So why can't he tap into that part too? And so that really just kind of, we would buy snacks when he was in kindergarten he was noticing kids didn't have a snack at snack time. And, I reached out to the teacher because he would pack extra snacks. And I was like, well, gosh, like, maybe we should reach out to the teacher. Like, do they need almost like a snack cabinet, like just in case there's kids that can't. And so we just started doing stuff like that he was noticing and he wanted to be part of. And it was like, he knew too, that he was like, we don't have to like label them, or I need to bring them to kids. Like, what if we just have them and the teacher could pass them out? And it removed that from him. And so it was really cute that he was grasping that. And then it just kind of grew from there. Anything that I was doing, signing up for, I would ask like, hey, can we try? Do you think my son could come? And a lot of times he couldn't, the limit for liability and things was 14 or 12. And I'm like, God, he's only 7 or 8. And then June of 2020, we heard that they needed organizations that needed to pass out produce. And I was like, gosh, you're in Zoom school, you're off on Fridays, like, let's try something. And so I said, yeah, let's sign up for this. And I asked him, hey, do you want to do this? I said, let's sign up for 25 boxes because they were 32 pounds each. And I was like, that's a lot of fresh produce. I was like, if we don't get rid of it, and we don't like food waste or anything. So it was like, let's do this. And he was like, yeah, let's do this. So we made it a Facebook event, and there's much of a longer story of how it all came together, but it came together in less than 24 hours. So it was very quick. Found out about it on a Thursday. It started Friday morning. So I was like, okay, fine. So it was just me and him. We picked up the food and then we passed it out. And at the time I'd already started Frugal on the Fly, but all it was kind of a hub for parents to find free and cheap things in the metro area. And sometimes I'd throw out stuff, volunteer ideas, but this ramped it up. So we ran out in 20 minutes and he was like, oh no, we still have a line and we have people. And I said, yeah, but you don't understand. Like it's a spreadsheet. We all signed up for what we could have. Some organizations were 200, some were 10, I said, just be me being the adult to a kid. Like, you don't get it. Right. And he was like, I know, but call, like, can you just call? And he was relentless. He would not let it go. And he's 8 at the time. And I was like, okay, bud, I'm going to call the organizer and we'll see what happens. So I call her and she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if a truck broke down or what, but we have extra boxes. One of the organizations couldn't make it and we have to move it because we were picking them up at TCF and I was passing them out in Hamtramck. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I said, but that's like 45 minutes by the time we come there and back. And he just looked at me and he said, tell the people in line. And I was like, it was just so logical and so simple. And I said, okay, bud. And then we were finding that many people in the line couldn't speak English. And so I was trying really hard to communicate with my hands and numbers. And then we found someone in line that spoke English and said, here's the deal. I will get more food. I have to drive there and back. It's gonna be like 45 minutes. But if you're willing to wait, I promise I will come back. And he's like, okay, I'll spread the word. So we go back, we fill up as much as I can cram into a minivan. We come back and all the boxes we had were all the people that were waiting. And he just looked at me like, see, we did it, And I said, yeah, you're right. We did it. And so each week I would double it because I was just like convinced that like the word would spread and I would work really hard to spread. He was empowering his friends to join us because it was like my line, my rules, right? So it's like, if you come with your child, understand that we've got cars, it's heavy, it's dangerous, but if you want to break down cardboard boxes or, help open the trunks, or shut the trunks, that kind of stuff. And so sure enough, they were coming out and being empowered by him. So before we knew it, we were feeding 2,000 families every Friday morning.
Wow.
And in 23 weeks, we passed out over 1 million pounds of produce.
Wow.
So that was 2020, June to October. And then for me and him, it was like, we can do big things and we don't need to be under anything. We can just do it ourselves, right? So we just kept going, with coat drives and passing out hats and mittens. We did warm the line to keep voters at the polls. Then we spearheaded a remodel for a women's shelter, and we closed the street in Detroit and did an all-day jazz festival with 5 jazz bands, and we just kept going, and it was really fun. And it was fun to have him part of it and to see it all. And then it just came out, but he is in a book series. It's a global book series, so he's one of the young change makers in it. He's a character in one of the books.
Oh, we did a story on that.
Right. That's one of them. Patrick is one, Patrick's one of them. So there was 3, and I didn't even know there was other, you just don't know who's in it. Right. And when that Metro Parent article came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like one of my kids. So, yep.
Wow. You were raising an incredible boy.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, he's a really cool kid. He's a critical thinker and has a big heart and a passion for, just making change. And he's saying that, one person can make a difference. Like he's going to be told probably in his life, like, man, we're just one, we can't. It's like, if you start small and then that kindness has a ripple effect, it just really spreads, and it spreads further than I know. Like here you're reaching out to me, like, you just never know, like what you're putting out, like what can come back.